Welcome back to Impact and Influence. I'm Don McLean. We're here today with Kelly Lundberg. She's a mentor, personal brand and style expert, author, influencer, speaker. What can't she do, really?
I'm not a great cook, by the way.
Kelly, thanks for being here today.
Oh, it's great speaking to you.
Thank you. Yeah, if you could just start by telling the listeners a little bit about yourself and who you are.
So I am originally Scottish. I'm not sure if anyone picked that up on the accent yet, but I've been living in the Middle East for the past, it's going to make me sound really old, but the past 18 years. And what brought me here was I took a job when I was a lot younger as cabin crew, and the posting was based in the Middle East, based in Dubai, and it was just a great place to live when you were young and travel the world, and it was just a wonderful opportunity. And you know, while I was here, Dubai was really in its kind of real growth phase of, you know, developing the city, and the entrepreneurial vibe was contagious. Like, you know, early 2000, right the way up to the crash. I mean, it was literally, you know, everyone was starting businesses and people were making money, and there was just so many opportunities in a city that, you know, this hadn't been brought here. This service wasn't created. No one was offering this. So there was just so much you could bring, especially if you were an outsider bringing an idea in. It was yeah, it was a really exciting time. So I launched in 2005 the Middle East first personal shopping and styling agency. So my previous careers, I'd always worked in retail since I was super young at school, and I was just kind of taking that to the next level of empowering people to feel great in the clothes that they wear. And I sold the agency last year, so I had it for 15 years. Worked with some incredible people, from, you know, superstar celebrities, princesses, princes, to, you know, mums and dads who just wanted to feel good about themselves. And it really is a very rewarding career, because the power of clothing, and when you wear something that just feels good, it has an incredible ripple effect on everything that you do. So that was kind of the start of where the origins began. And then, you know, 4 years ago, I launched an academy to train up stylists, because that's the next evolution. So once you've helped people, it's like, how can I help people to help other people? So the academy was born. But my heart's really been in entrepreneurship. I love the business aspect of, you know, of styling. And I love the whole business piece of, you know, building a business. And, you know, over the past couple of years, more and more entrepreneurs have been coming to me going, you know, I need some help with this part of my business. And so many aspects of their business was their personal brand, which style is a huge element of. It's one part, but it's how you show up digitally. What do your pictures look like? What does your collaterals look like? What image are you representing? And this was sort of where Brand You was born, and really where I feel the evolution has come to now, of mentoring those to build their credibility on and offline with their personal brand.
Wow, that's just incredible. You know, so many people, like you said before, they toss around the term personal branding, and but I think you're in a unique position because styling is so much part of it. You know, in the culture where we judge, you know, everybody by how they look, you know, online specifically, that's really the first thing that people see. So that just confidence and that, you know, that air of, you know, just feeling great about yourself, I think really goes a long way.
And I think even more so, given the challenges that we've faced over the last 12 months, you know, people are really connecting with people. People want to connect with people. And as part of being a business owner, you need to also be that person that they connect with. And a lot of people hide behind their business and they don't come forward, or they think that maybe a personal brand is just for an influencer or someone who's famous. And the bottom line is, it's not. A personal brand is actually for everyone, whether you're an employee or you're an entrepreneur. It's how you show up. It's what differentiates you from the person next to you, whether it's a business or your colleague. So I think when you really connect with the understanding of why you need to have one, then you're like, okay, this is really important. So what do I need to do about it?
Yeah, absolutely. And some people are more introverted, even as business owners and entrepreneurs. And, I saw as part of your brand, one of the first things is just goals and setting that. How do you help people get over that and understand that, maybe their goals are so much closely tied to their personal brand?
Well, I think one of the biggest challenges I see when I first work with someone, I'm, mentoring them to start with, is they don't have that clarity piece.
Oh.
So they don't have clarity in where they're going forward. Or the other thing that I see is people are too scared. What if someone says something about me, or what if I make a fool of myself? Or because part and parcel of having a personal brand, even as a business, is you putting yourself out there to speak to your customers, to speak to your clients that you have there, especially if you're offering a service. It's so important because people need to really connect with that. So having clarity of actually knowing what it is that you want to go after. And there's been various things over the past sort of 8 years as I've built my personal brand up that, I wanted to do something like a TEDx talk. Like that was a really big goal. So how do we set that out? I wanted to write a book. I wanted to try to think of something else that would be relatable to sort of all industries.
I was looking at Amazon, and you have a couple books out there. You have the mini book on your website.
Yeah.
And so many people, they say, I want to be a speaker, I want to write books. Just focusing on those two for a second, how did you get yourself to do that? I mean, of course, you're working with clients and brands every day, but it's an incredible investment in time. And I think the consistency of just consistently writing and working and doing that. How did you navigate that?
So it's funny because my English teacher told me at school that I couldn't sit the higher education of English because I didn't have good enough grades, and there was a big ordeal at school, and my mum had to write a letter, and anyway they let me study it. But it was quite funny because literally 10 years later my mum delivered a book to my school teacher that said, you can't sit higher English. So I think it's like, you maybe want to be all of those things, but maybe start with one of those things. And it was the book that actually got me more into speaking, because the first book that I wrote was about entrepreneurship in Dubai. Okay. And then I started going to schools to talk to kids about entrepreneurship and what did it mean to them. And so I think the speaking element comes off whatever it is that you're currently doing in terms of your projects or what you're working on. But certainly in writing a book, what I realized is there's very little money in it. So if you're thinking that you're going to make money, don't do it. But I think more than that, people that do want to write a book, it's a credibility piece. So it really is great from the brand perspective. Yeah. And your personal brand, if you can have a self-published book or a book that has been published by someone else. And nowadays you can self-publish a book very easily on Amazon and wherever. And it is, like you say, just consistency of I'm going to write 20 words today, or I'm going to take the weekend off. I used to write my book. So we have the weekends in the Middle East on a Friday and a Saturday. Oh, wow. So I would take, Friday, I would always take a Friday morning and just stay in bed and write. And that was my time. And then I did that over a period of a year. or maybe it was 10 months, and I got a book out of it.
That's
So some people might be able to do it a bit quicker than that. But that's what worked for me. So yeah, the consistency piece there.
absolutely. Yeah. And, you know, I'm working on writing a book myself. I've spent a little more
Oh,
months on it, but it's one of those things that just, it takes time, and you have to, you know, have that incredible consistency. And
yeah. What's your book on?
it's actually on impact and influence, and how entrepreneurs can bring that, you know, to their industry. And personal branding is definitely part of that. So it's
Yeah.
great to hear your background.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. You know, one of the things that I saw, you know, just in looking at your background, going back to the styling, is you mentioned that you're a finalist in the Scottish Style Awards and the Scottish Fashion Awards. What did it take to get to that point? You know, I know that any awards, it's incredibly hard to become a finalist. So, what did that take to get there?
So when it comes to the awards, it's quite interesting because some awards I didn't know anything about, and they contacted me. Hi, you've
Okay.
been nominated. So they've, through social media, they've seen things. And other awards you have to apply for.
Oh, sure.
And a lot of people think that, you know, awards are just going to come to them, and sometimes they do. So the Scottish Fashion Awards was something that actually came to me. I didn't know that it existed at the time. But my very first business awards was, and the first one that I won was, I was 2 years in business, and it was a bank that did this award ceremony. And I had gone in 2004 to, no, 2005, I had gone to the award ceremony as, you know, just to check it out. And I was an attendee. And I remember sitting there, and I couldn't apply for the awards that year because my business was only like 18 months in. So I didn't have enough to sort of talk about or say. And I remember sitting there going, this time next year, I'm going to be back here and I'm going to win an award. And I really set that intention. And a year later, I was back and I won the award.
Oh my goodness, that's incredible.
Yeah.
But you know, setting that goal and having your sights straight directed on that, that's
Yeah.
congratulations.
Thank you. But I also think the other thing, and I talk about in Brand June, one of the sort of pieces that we mentored is, again, another credibility fact is awards. So what awards are happening where you are? You know, what can you apply for? Bearing in mind that they're not all going to come to you, but some might, but some don't. So set the intention to look for what it is, or look for something that you can do. And what we've started doing, because I realized the importance of awards on people, like, and how they make people feel. And I hosted my first Brand You awards through, you know, the S Academy
That's
in
incredible.
September. We did a virtual award ceremony. We had I think 10 different categories, and we had people join us from all over the world. And people were like, wow, I won an award, and that goes on their website. And that, you know, it's that credibility piece.
Absolutely. You know, and that's, you know, there's a couple things that I want to pick at there, but, you know, one of them is that so many people feel that they can't, that they shouldn't apply for their own award. You know, they shouldn't nominate themselves, you know, and I want to ask you about that. But, you know, also, I think same thing you said with a book, it's like awards don't actually make you any money, but that third party credibility, you know, the confidence for the person, similar to, you know, clothes, as you mentioned about styling, but also the credibility for the clients that they're going to work with, to show that, you know, they're good enough to have won something. So, but what do you say for those folks that feel like they should wait, you know, somebody else should nominate them?
Um, for me, I'd be like, what are you waiting for? You know,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you know, do you want to win in the sense of, do you want to have that credibility? I think
Sure.
that do you know, it's funny you say that, because someone who I know is really successful, really successful here, has an incredible business, and she's never won a business award, and it really bothers her that she hasn't won something. Yet she's got an amazing business, and it's this whole thing. But also, if you want it, you got to go out there and get it. I
Exactly.
do this thing when I'm speaking, and I did it a lot in schools, and it was more to just kind of tie everything together. So at the end of my keynote that I would do at schools, I would hold up a note, some money. So it could be like, I don't know, $10 for it. I'm trying to think the equivalent of what it would be. Let's just say $10. And at the
Sure.
end, I say, you know, I hope everyone's really enjoyed and is able to take away, you know, something that's a lesson. So I just want to recap with one important message. And I want to ask you this question: who would like this money? And you know, the kids are like, me, I want it, me, I want it. And you know, children pick it up much quicker than adults do, which I find is quite interesting. And eventually someone gets it, that they actually have to stand up and come to the front and take the money, and they get it. And the moral being that it's like, listen, nothing is going to come to you if you're sitting down and waiting. And it's like this light bulb moment. I actually did it at a female networking event as well. And I gave away an amazing makeover package. It was styling, it was skincare treatments, it was
Wow.
a photo shoot. And I did the same. I said like, hey, who wants this? And all, like, imagine 100 women,
Uh-huh.
me. They all wanted it. And then eventually this woman got up and goes, can I have it? I went, there you go. And you could feel the energy and the disappointment in the room of all these women going, oh, it was that easy. And that's the lesson. If you want something, you've got to go to it. So that was a slightly longer explanation, but perhaps off the back of that, why you should apply for something or not.
That's such a perfect explanation. No, thank you for that. You know, you're right. It's the ideas versus execution. You know, people have the idea in their mind that, you know, they want it or they expect it or they should get it. But then the execution side, there's so much between that. You know, it's just get up and start doing it. And, you know, that's one of the reasons why I started doing this podcast. You know, for years I had talked to myself about, you know, wanting to do this. And it's like, I just need to execute. So, you know, that's one of the things. But yeah, you know, from the awards perspective, just stepping back to that for a second, it's it is interesting. You know, so many people just don't apply, and I've always gone by the philosophy of, you need to say yes to yourself. You know, if you keep saying no, you know, I can't do that, or I can't win, or I need to wait for somebody, it's really not going to happen for you. You know, or it's going to take a lot longer than you'd ever expect. So
Absolutely. And it's always what's the worst that's going to happen?
yeah,
And that was the thing when I started my business. You know, I was young, I was naive, and I took a massive loan to start my business. And that was it was massive because I was so young. It felt like it was massive.
sure.
But you know, I was like, what's the worst case that can happen? My business doesn't work. Okay, I need to get another job and pay this loan back. But you know, what is the worst case scenario? You know, you learn from it. And that's the whole thing. We don't make mistakes. We just learn.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to ask you about your YouTube channel for a second. I saw on your website that you say you have over 1.5 million views. That's incredible. Congratulations on that.
Thanks.
You know, I know that so many people, they want to be the content creators, the YouTube stars. But, you know, I see that, you know, you have such consistency and your branding is spot on every time. Maybe you can talk to me about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, the YouTube, I had a channel. I've had a channel for years and years. And I will be really honest. It's something that I'm not as you've got to pick your mediums that you are the best
Right.
on, in terms of that you can commit to. And YouTube, I go back and forward on. Instagram is the one that I'm super consistent in, and I'm always there and showing up. So I'd love to say, yeah, I'm on YouTube a lot, and I'm consistent with it, and but I'm not. So that's just honest. But the YouTube was interesting, actually, because it was a reaction video that got me my first viral video. And I was me on a video watching a reaction to an advert, and I cried, and it was very real and very authentic. And
Was this the proposal video?
Yes, yeah.
I saw it.
Oh, and people love that, and it's funny that ended up being, that ended up being something that's nothing actually to do with it. I used to watch reaction videos from a marketing perspective. I loved how people market, how you can advertise something, and it can have an emotional effect on someone.
Yes.
So that was kind of why and how that came about. Sorry, I'm just going to plug this in, actually. Excuse me just a minute. I know I'm on red.
Thank you.
I had a call before you, and it's amazing how quickly, when you have calls, video calls, how quickly the battery drains.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no problem at all. I saw that based on your styling career, and, again, congratulations on how much success you've had there. You've been featured in Harper's Bazaar, In Style, many other publications like that. Do you do your own PR, and, what does that take, and how does that change your career and path?
It's a really good question, actually, and I've done both. I've done my own PR, and I've hired people to work with me and do my PR. When I first started out, a friend of mine said to me, when I told her I was starting a business, she said, "You need to send a press release off." And I was like, "What's a press release?" And I remember Googling in the time, what is a press release? And she helped me, and we wrote this press release out. And I, at the time I had no money, so I couldn't afford to buy all the magazines, to get the phone numbers, to find out who to email to. So I remember I went into the supermarket, and I just kind of hid in the corner of the magazine section, and then read every magazine and took down all the telephone numbers, then went home, and then called all the places that I'd got the number from the supermarket.
Wow.
And yeah, and then then I sent off this press release, and that first press release got me in, I think, 6 different publications, and that was really the start of understanding the power of PR and how having that sort of publicity can help. And then sort of 5 or 6 years in, I hired a company here to work with. And, it depends on your budget. It depends what message you want to get over. You've got to make it work for you. But I really do think it's been something that I found in a brand building credibility piece has worked really well.
Yeah, and thank you for that supermarket story. I mean, that right there is just so, it's so telling, though, of what makes you unstoppable in business. Because so many people would stop themselves right there. I don't know how to start. I don't know what to do. And they wouldn't be able to execute on that. So,
yeah.
And it kind of reminds me of, long ago, how I got started in PR. I used to just take like written pieces, and I would actually drive and drop them off, hand deliver them to the editor, before. This was in the late 90s, before I even knew what PR was.
Yeah.
It was like, here, consider printing this. And, when I had a band a long time ago when I was in high school, and, it worked really well. You know, it was,
Yeah.
but it was like my start in PR. So
Yeah, perfect, perfect. And it really does have a great it does have a really big impact on your credibility. It's huge.
absolutely. Specifically, when you know how to connect with somebody, you know what they're interested in. You know, the one thing I've noticed about PR is that so many practitioners, they don't consider that the person behind an email is actually a person. You know, they never think about that. They just write, you know, a really long piece and they just send it off and hope for the best. And you know, it's a complete wrong way to think about it. So
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
and you know, I wanted to ask you one more thing. You know, before we start wrapping up, I saw that you went to Date with Destiny with Tony Robbins, and
Oh,
what was
so
that
good.
like, and how did that change your mindset?
That had been a really big bucket list for a very long time that I wanted to do. And I guess everything is just sort of timing, you know, when it actually comes around. And I was going through a divorce at the time, and it was like, right, hey, now or never, this is what I want to do. Flew to Fort Lauderdale, which from the Middle East is super far. And it was incredible. Like, I mean, I love Tony. Tony was the first personal development cassette tape things that I listened to 15 years ago. So I've been to Unleash the is it Unleash the Power, UPW, Unleash the Power. Yeah, I did that in London maybe 10 years ago.
Okay.
I've been part of his coaching program. So I just kind of feel, and as someone who's a mentor and working in this space, I really do feel that it's kind of like you have to do it. It's a rite of passage, you know. You
Yeah.
just have to experience it, and the energy and the vibe, and yeah, I loved it. Apart from the fact it was freezing cold, you know, Tony loves to have his venues freezing.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Does it keep people awake, maybe?
I think so, but people were sitting there. I remember actually there was an outlet mall in Fort Lauderdale, and I was in Saks, and I bought this faux fur jacket, and I couldn't believe, like, I was in this place that was super warm, super hot, and I bought this jacket and I wore it every day there because the conference room was so cold.
Oh my goodness. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible though. Wow. You know, that's definitely one of the bucket list things for me too. Hopefully I'll be able to make it. I was considering it before the COVID pandemic, but you know, unfortunately, I don't know if we're going to be doing any in-persons for a while. So
Yeah.
we'll figure that out. But what's next for Kelly Lundberg?
Great question. So for 2021, I mean, I'm going through the whole process just now. We're launching group mentoring for brand new, so we can have more of a reach to help more people. So that's going to be the focus for next year, in terms of working rather one-on-one, but working with groups. I love it. There's so much energy when you're part of a group, and they ask questions that you don't always think of. So yeah, it's kind of exciting.
That'll be really exciting. Congrats on that. I hope it goes well for you. And
Thank you so much.
yeah, of course. And where can listeners learn more about you, Kelly?
Well, if you're on social media, which I imagine everyone is, come and check me out at Kelly Lundberg Official on Instagram. I'm the same on YouTube. You can watch my reaction video and see me cry. And I'm also the same, kellylundbergofficial.com for website.
Wonderful. Kelly, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.
It was so great talking to you.
You too. Have an awesome day.
All right, you too. Hope to catch up when I'm in Dubai next. So have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.